Hola! Hey, it's me, Felipe, again. And like everything, this is another expression of experimental living. I just want to be as reoccurring and consistent as possible with these videos. Like I said, the intent is to be a weekly release for you to connect with me so we can chat about different things. Between the meditations that I put online, I hope that people will have enough content and enough connections to really understand who I am, what I'm here for, and how is the conversation that I want to have with you happening. So thank you for joining me for another digressions, meditations, and reflections. The idea here is always to propose a different topic, food for thought, solely based on my experience, my views and perspectives about different literatures that I read, different life experiences, different ways of putting together all the coaching tools that I have available for all my clients. And at the same time, to open my heart to all the people that are out there looking for mindful and meaningful conversations to happen. So I don't want this to be a monologue as much as for now I'm the only one talking. I want you to leave your opinions, your views on the commentaries as well. So if you can talk about who you are, where you come from, what are you doing here, and why this matters to you. I'm very curious, as much as you are curious about my path and my ideas here as well. So today I want to talk about reviewing our rituals. Okay, so every day we wake up, we brush our teeth, we do our prayers, or we journal, or maybe about our dreams on the night before, or we make coffee. It doesn't matter, because the point is we have rituals in our life every day for every moment. When you propose yourself to follow up with your goals, or when you lay out a plan of what you're going to study this year, or how you're going to go on with your day regarding your work, or if you're parenting, or if you're with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you have rituals. We have rituals of everything from foreplay, and when it comes to sexual relationships and romance. We have rituals when it comes to setting up the mood to be in our best self when we're gonna give like a speech engagement or do a presentation. We have rituals when it comes to the sacredness of our life, like how we go to church, or we go to a park and meditate, or when we go for a run, what we do before that. And sometimes we don't realize those rituals are present in our lives. We just go with it, and we just start doing them, and they become part of our habits without this realization that if they are good or bad, right? I think the idea that I want to propose is, are we reviewing the rituals that we have present in our lives? Do they make sense to who we are and what we do at this moment of our lives? Because if you think about religious institutions, they have been canonizing these rituals and dogmas for millennia, and just proposing to us that this is the right way of doing it. Many ways and many times we do that exactly as is told us, and we end up transposing that into other parts of society. What does the government tell us that is the right thing to do? What does our bosses tell us that is the right way to approach every day in work? And there's nothing wrong with those rules or abiding to society ethics and morals and costumes and our customs. what is important is to look at it and understand, why are we doing it? Are you just blindly following what other people are telling you to do? Or are you really incorporating these tools, resources, and rituals in your life because it's meaningful to you? So I'm not here to defy your rituals or to teach you new ones, but to really ask, what are those rituals and why are you doing that? So I'm going to share a little bit of my years through my life, and how I review the rituals that I had present in my lifetime. I'm going to start about 20 years ago. All right, 20 years ago is when I started working, and at the same time I was going to high school. So I was in Brazil. It's a little bit different than in America. So my period of school was from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. After that, from 1:30, 2 o'clock until 8 o'clock at night, I was at work. And I started working at a video production company, doing programming, graphic design, and video editing. And that made me review what were my rituals at the time. Before, it was just like waking up, going to school, going back home, or going back to my father's workplace and like working with him there. But nonetheless, it was very limited to like just those two things. What do I need to do to wake up and go to school, study, and etc. And have to review what were the important things at that point of my life, so I could readjust to integrating into a working society. What time did I need to leave school to get to the subway and get a time to work? It was an hour and a half commute. So having that in mind, what were the adjustments that needed to be done? When were the times that I would have to do my homework? So then, like, going back home, looking at the rituals that I have to implement and allocate time. When do I need to sit down and study? When do I need to look at like studies for work or studies for school, and start implementing that discipline and that responsibility there? Why I'm sharing this? Because I think that was the core that taught me about responsibility, accountability, and being driven towards those goals. In my life, there was always more of a drive to be responsible about work than in other aspects of my life, on all honesty. And I always prioritized work. So looking at that and reviewing what I needed to do and what studies need to be done to focus on that really helped me to establish and allocate the time and start a structure that kind of dictate everything else that came afterwards. I'm gonna fast forward to 10 years later, when I opened my own company. And when I opened my own company, I had to review where was the space for personal time and allocate and dedicate the same amount of time that I was putting into work, into personal life, because that was why I opened my company. I opened a graphic design company in Brazil, a branding company, because I wanted to have more quality of life. So that same type of structure and responsibility that I was looking into from the beginning of my work life, focus on dedication into becoming a better professional, I wanted to allocate that into being a better person in my personal life, being a better friend, being a better spouse, being a better child to my parents, becoming a better person to myself, and more connected with my spiritual side as well. Because at that point in my life is when I started realizing how everything was interconnected. How, just being work driven and solely focus on being the best at work or at a profession or at a career, it doesn't matter anything if you're failing or falling apart in your personal life. So with that, I established new rituals. I started reviewing new rituals. I started spending less time at work and looking at the time and the quality of time that I was spending with my friends and my family, right? That insightfulness into looking at how I was doing what I was doing and why I was doing what I was doing. I think that's what is important about reviewing your rituals, reviewing your routines, and understanding what matters in your life. Through that, and with my own company there, I started understanding how important was the relationships that I put into things. And the more in depth I got into branding, more understanding our psyche I was as well. So I started looking at the same way that we're applying things to brands and to corporate culture, we can apply those things to ourselves. We can apply that to our self-development and our growth. So what are the things that we do every day, the same way that we see a brand being overbearing sometimes with how they communicate and how they're pushing their content, how they're talking about the things that matter to the mission of the company? We can do that for ourselves. What does it matter to us that we put in practice every day? And sometimes those are religious practices, sometimes those are spiritual practices, sometimes those are professional practices, sometimes that is all that together. The important thing to remember is, again, what does it matter to you? If you meditate every day for 15 minutes, for an hour, for 5 minutes, why are you doing that? What are the feelings that come to you from that? If you're doing a full moon ritual or a new moon ritual, if you're doing a spell or a journal entry that is all encompassing how you want to manifest these things in your vision board, why are you doing that? And when are you doing that? What does it matter to you? It's how you integrate those things to your life, how you bring back the sacredness in every moment to now. So I invite you to look closely. Why do I brush my teeth every day? How am I brushing my teeth every day? Am I being mindful about how I'm doing this? Am I being even efficient with how I'm doing that? Why do I eat every day? How do I eat every day? Am I eating in front of the TV? Am I eating with my family? Am I forcing a family interaction around the table just because I read that this was good somewhere? Or am I having meaningful conversations and this is a time where we really bond? Pay attention to your actions, because or else rituals become dogma. They become just things that you're doing for no purpose besides the purpose of doing so. If you're going to a mass on this weekend, if you're going to your church, if you're going to your mosque, if you're doing what you need to do to be connected with God, with the universe, with the spirit, with whatever you call it, why are you doing that? What are you looking for? And can you do that in a very mindful and meaningful way every time you do? When you pay attention to every word that you say and the words that you listen. And not just doing it because you need to do it because it's Sunday morning. I think this time with the whole COVID crisis, the distance ourselves from doing things in such a habitual way that we are used to, allow us the time to evaluate this. And now that we are ready to put our lives into a new normal, it is a perfect time to review why. Why am I doing these things? Because now we need to review every habit, Every ritual, from washing our hands to how we talk to others, how we interact with them with respect and understanding where they're coming from, understanding both the fears, the contentment, the complacence, that we are not in this alone, so we need to interact with other people with that in mind. So we're reviewing the rituals of even like shaking hands or hugging someone that we love. Or if you're doing that, doing with consent and conscious of why you're doing, when are you doing. So tell me, what are some rituals that you have been reviewing in this past few months? What are the things that changed in your life? I must say that one ritual that we created at home, and it's very interesting and inspiring, is we've been watching Batman from the 60s every morning, every night before going to bed. Is my son's favorite show now. And to look at what were the habits and the ways that people talk or move or dance or perform back then, it is very interesting as a reflection of who we are right now. What were things that were so normal that pretty much became a joke at this point, that they were common sense, that they were just commonplace. So we are constantly changing, but also absorbing part of what we were into what is new. So when you are reviewing your rituals, you're not ditching them, you're just putting together in this cosmic fabric a thread that is continuing from a different time. It doesn't need to be the same color thread. It doesn't need to be the same type of stitch. What you're doing is just complementing everything with your own way and reason of doing it. So again, if there's a way that I can help you to also complement your rituals, complement your habits, achieve something in a different way, or in a way that it can be more efficient to your life, not about ditching everything and just like purging the things that you've been honing until now, but about looking closely to what is necessary and what other things are sensible to you and to where you want to be. That's what I'm here for. That's why I like these conversations, and that's why I prefer if you tell me a little bit about where you are in this journey. So take your time. You don't need to be right now, but it would be awesome if the next time I'm here I can comment on some of the responses that you give me. Okay, so subscribe for the next videos. Next week we're gonna have some meditations coming. Hope you enjoyed this, and let me know what else do you want to know, and I will share more of my journey, more tips, more things that we can kind of work together to just like work on being our best selves. That's why we're here after all, to just be happy and live a better life.